got 9 o'clock. We call the meeting to order. Start with Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mochler,
Here.
Graylobe,
Here.
Brady,
Here.
Teasy,
Here.
Gilbertson.
Any conflict of interest declarations? Hearing none. Approval of agenda? So moved. Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion passes. Approval of minutes? Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion passes. Are there any visitors to be heard? Hearing none. Brent?
Good morning. Got a fuel quote. For, Brunix Warner, that I sent.
Move to approve the low bid by Brunix.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion passes.
Then I got the results for the surplus for everything went to auction there. Everything seemed to win pretty good for price wise.
Yep.
Happy with all that?
That's like, that's good loader. I can't believe it went for that much.
Yeah. Yeah, people were calling, they're like, do you think I'll go for this amount? I was like, God, I have no idea. I couldn't tell you for sure.
Yep.
But a lot of phone calls on the low boy and the mower tractor and the snow blower. Well, majority of most of my calls.
Good deal.
Yeah,
Yeah, good.
that snow blower, yeah, it's really spread on that. But yeah, just wanted to get it going with everything when it worked.
Yeah, thank you. Sounds good.
Yep. And wanted to let you guys know that I hired a new guy, Chris Youngward, from local guy, and he doesn't have a CDL, so it'll be another person that we had to get the CDL for. Hopefully it all works out. Seems like a pretty good kid. And then right now, I think we should be good for employees that we need. So as long as everybody passes their test.
That part-time guy working okay.
Yep, the
Okay.
part-time guy? Yeah, there's two part-time guys. A lot of issues there.
Lot of attitude. Mouthy.
And then, they were supposed to start chip sealing today, but with weather and stuff, so hopefully tomorrow, but they said that the crew's gonna come in, there's gonna be like 60+ employees that they have. And they do 14 miles a day, so they figured they could bang out Clay County in like 1 week, so.
Awesome.
As long as for the tackle, they need to put down, it needs to be 60 degrees and above before they can apply it, so hopefully everything works good and everything sticks and stays where it's supposed to be, so. That's all I got for you guys. That's it for me.
I'm not sure. There's a, added to the packet here, wrapping up that flap grant stuff, there was the termination thing, and I noticed, I did not catch this previously, but the DOT people said, once the county commission has given the county commission chairperson permission for the agreement to be signed by, this is current, but by the highway superintendent, please return the two, but I thought it looked like down below that the signature line was for the chairperson, so I don't know. We may, if so, it's just a termination
Okay.
agreement for a funding agreement we had in place with the state to utilize those flap funds.
Okay.
So when we get down to it here, if it turns out we're authorizing you for signature, we'll give it to you to
Okay.
sign, but it's not urgent or anything. It's just
Okay.
wrapping up paperwork in a sense. So,
All right.
yeah. But
Sounds good.
I was surprised when I saw that. I did not see that originally, so.
But then the hazard mitigation contract commitment letter too.
That's
There's
you.
nothing,
I don't think you need to sign that.
no, he doesn't need to sign it,
Yeah.
but it involves him.
Yeah, you've been working
I was
with
just wondering if-
Sean on that, right?
Yep.
Yep.
All
Is
right.
there anything on that, because we'll do that right now. The hazard mitigation one, if everybody's,
Sure.
I mean, there's nothing. 25%. Do you know what our 25%?
I couldn't tell you right off.
Okay.
Bring you thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is for the bridges.
Okay,
Yep, rip wrap it up.
yep. Yeah, for that, are we still waiting to see if we get awarded anything for that?
Oh, I think that this is still as part of the process to get
Still
to
process,
the
yeah, so it's
application, I
kinda-
think, yep.
Yeah. So it's kinda,
This is my first time through this one, so.
This is if we happen to get it, we're on the hook for 25% of whatever.
okay, it's
We might get it.
25, not 15, but it's 25.
It's 25 according to this.
Okay,
Yeah, I thought it.
This is Lane. There was a whole lot of questions that Sean needed answers to, Brent. I told him to get a hold of you and Brad. Just for the application process, there's still a lot of information that he needed. So he was gonna hopefully get a hold of you guys this week because it's all due yet this week.
yeah, when I seen that, email, I sent it off to Brad, cause it was pretty much majority of those questions were for Brad to answer, so. Just waiting to hear something back from him.
Lane is 25% local match your recollection? on this,
Yes.
or- Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah, most FEMA stuff is 75%. But during a disaster, the state kicks in an extra 10 to 15% depending on the year.
Okay, thank you. Well, I move to authorize the chair to sign, the letter to Jim Boppin included in our packet.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion passes.
Anything else? All right, you guys have a good day. Thank you.
Thanks, Brent.
Thanks, Brent.
Andy?
Thanks for you today. I think the first thing we got on the agenda was the additional jail staff. And this is, I need to add basically one person per shift out at the new facility. And then one more. We have one shift right now that's only got single coverage. So I want to get to 3 people on all shifts. So to do that, I need to increase 7 more full-time positions. Yeah, 7 more full-time and 2 part-time positions. Well, I already have the 2 part-time positions, but, so I wanted to look into that. I anticipated, looked ahead at what my payroll would increase and what savings we have in our boarding budget after we stop housing out of county. And what we have budgeted in the boarding budget, anticipate spending about another $39,000 between now and an anticipated move-in date of, say, September 1, and that's an estimate. But I have to go with something. So if we move in on September 1, I anticipate we'll have $314,363 left in our boarding fund that we won't need to use. I estimate by adding the additional staff that I was planning for, not counting insurance, because I don't know what the health insurance cost would be, we would need an additional, excuse me, an additional $224,876. That is if we start them on July 1. So essentially, we'll start the new staff before we move in, because I need to get them trained. And so I think that we should have about $90,000 in excess, so that should cover any health insurance needs or something for those 6 months. So I think we can do it in our current budget without asking for anything additional. I just need the approval to hire the extra people early. I would start the process now, go through the interview and ideally have start dates and for as many as I can on July 1, then we can start training.
And at one point, I remember you discussing, or maybe a couple of times, actually, I think it was 2 different budget cycles. You talked about wanting to add someone on staff that had a social work background. Is that included in these hiring numbers?
No,
Okay.
this is for this year.
Okay, gotcha.
I would obviously budget for that for next year.
Okay.
And yeah, and adding other staffing, we'll talk about that at budget time. I'd actually hope to get a grant for that, but we don't know
We'll see.
what kind of grant money's gonna be out there in 2026, so. I'll look into that, but we'll talk about that at budget time, and that sounds good. Pretty soon.
Quick.
I move to approve the hiring of these additional staff.
Second. A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion passes. Competitive sealed process, proposal process for jail meals.
Okay, Michael might weigh in on this a little bit. He read inked up the proposal that you have, because, that's what lawyers do, right? So I assume he's listening.
I'm here, yes.
Okay. So yeah, he had made a lot of comments on it. It looked like a little bit of form issues. I don't know that, he really had any issues with content, but I'll let him weigh in on that. There
think-
was one-
Sorry, I think that's fair. No issues with context of the agreement. I think just form needs some slight adjustments, but I think we can move forward with it. I mean, there's nothing substantial or actually really anything that's being changed. Just the way it's being presented.
Yeah, you had one question about an abbreviation. PM means preventative maintenance in the kitchen. issues,
Sure.
and that's page 6.
Great.
So what we needed to do, Carrie should have it for you, a resolution, according to statute. Choosing to go with a proposal option versus a bid option. You can choose to do that if it's advantageous to you. But you have to do that in writing, so we discussed a resolution for that. So that would be first. And then you would decide whether or not you approve of this proposal. And then we can advertise that. One of the reasons we did it this way, rather than the way we've done it past, where we actually have specifications that they bid to, everybody bids the same thing, is because there's so many variables here. They're gonna be operating a kitchen. Are they gonna provide utensils? Will we provide utensils? And will they feed staff? Will they not feed staff? Will the staff meal be the same as everybody else's? They're gonna come in and they're gonna tell us what they think they can do for us, and then we can compare that to the other vendors. And we'll have a committee. We already have a RFP committee anyway discussing the upstairs remodel, so I think that we could present it to that committee and weigh the options when we get them and then present them back to the commission. I think I've got the dates in the document here somewhere.
Yes.
When you said PM, preventive maintenance, what we want them to do?
That's on the calendar.
Like talk about the new kitchen.
Yeah. A new kitchen. Something breaks, they're not gonna fix it up.
Oh, it's on us.
I got you.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not gonna have another person
Thanks.
you about taking care of the building.
Okay.
We only need one Scott. Are there any questions about that? We have, again, I anticipated start date, but I put a little wiggle room in the language, based on that being an estimate. Hopefully we can tell them, choose our vendor by July 1, and then we can negotiate by statute. We're allowed to negotiate after we choose the vendor we like best. If the negotiations break down, then we can go back and reconsider the other vendors. That's an option.
I move we approve resolution 2025-16.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Mochler,
Yes.
Graylobe,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Easy,
Yes.
Gilbertson,
Yes.
Motion passes. Anything else, Andy?
Yeah, you have to approve the RFP. So we can advertise that.
I think it looks good. I move to approve the RFP.
Second. I don't have that on my agenda. Oh. Do I have an old one? Is it on there?
Oh.
I thought I just worded it jail meal RFP.
Resolution for jail meal kitchen vendor selection process.
Yeah.
Does that fall under there, Michael?
I'm just pulling that up real quick. I think we can move forward with it.
Okay.
Um, And I think also inside of that same, we need to appoint that committee that Andy talked about.
So just reappoint the same RFP committee?
I mean, that would certainly be one option, and it seems like a pretty viable one.
Yeah, who are the members of that again? It's Glenn.
Well, let's do
Andy?
this part first, and then we'll get back to the committee. So I have a motion and a second on the RFP, correct? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same sign, motion passes. Okay, now the committee is Andy and Scott,
Rhonda
Rhonda and Michael.
and Michael.
Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Yep. that
Yeah.
seems-
Is it just the four of you?
Me, Scott, Michael, Rhonda, Glenn.
Oh, sorry.
You guys working together okay?
Yeah, I think so. And,
Oh,
you know, we're not, you know, we're reviewing statute, we're
Yeah.
applying that to this. And I think that that would be a good committee for, you know, I'll bring Don in on it in terms of advisory and, be able to present it to people, you know, because we get to know these vendors. It's kind of nice to have somebody that doesn't
Yep.
consider the RFP. So I like that committee makeup.
All right. Well, I move to approve that RFP committee. Those individuals for the RFP.
Second, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign, motion passes.
Thanks. We'll get it advertised then.
Michael, we've got the resolution for county burials.
Yes, and that should be included in your packet. Let me know if you have any questions on it.
oh, it looked good. Move to approve resolution 2025-15.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mochler,
Yes.
Graylobe,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Teasy,
Yes.
Gilbertson.
Yes.
Motion passes. Scott.
You're talking about the RFQ, the genesis of RFP was the RFQ. Request for qualification update, I guess. Well, I guess it is the RFP. So. A lot of different ideas, concepts floating around out there that are being talked about and discussed. And thought we should just come to the commissioners here, tell them what we got going, see what they think, what you all think of our ideas. So we got some design concepts here. And these, first of all, we'll just review this real quick so everybody kind of knows what we got going on here. This is the safety center. There aren't names on anything. There's just numbers, obviously. So I'll do a quick review. This is the PD side over here, which we're proposing that it would be the state's attorney's office. And there's nothing marked up on these, obviously. So here's the east entrance into the PD side. So this is a bathroom here, it would remain, that's a bathroom there, that would remain. This area here is a locker room, they'd like that converted to a conference room. Across the hall here, there's a small interrogation room, which they like that to become a kitchenette. This would remain an office, this would remain an office, this would remain an office. This is a storage room here, 123. They'd like to see this wall dropped out, this wall extended, so this becomes an office. This would be an office, and this would be an office. And this area right here, that's where the police administrator sits. This would become the reception area for the state's attorney with storage closet here, and there's a window here. So that's that's about the only concept that's been talked about for the state's attorney side. So kind of looking for a head nod. Do you want us to proceed with this? do you want some of this to become alternates? You know, in case things become too tight within the budget. You know, there's things we can always come back and do at a later date, like the kitchenette, that could be done at a later date. You know, if they still thought they needed one in there. So that's kind of where we're at on that side.
Seems like pretty minimal changes, which I like.
Yeah, I mean, the kitchenette obviously would probably be the most expensive. But what I'm suggesting we do is we're gonna be eliminating this break room down here because we have one up here on first floor. That cabinetry down there looks like it's never been used. It would fit right in that room.
Awesome.
But you still have to find your plumbing, which water lines are located above the ceiling. Your sewer waste is located below, which drops into the garage down below.
So you have access to that from below without.
Got access to it, not as convenient as I like it because it falls down on the wrong side of an I-beam, but you can 90 over, 90 down to get to the stack.
You got a bathroom nearby, so that must be pretty close, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibilities. So we'll kind of go over here and review this real quick. Sheriff's office, emergency management, conference room, kitchen. Visitation room here, bathroom. This is where this is the deputy's room here. This is dispatch up in here with an office. This is the entrance out into the hallway. This is the Sally Port. Whoops. What did I do there? Here's where the sheriff's office administrator sits. This is her office here. This is the day room off the jail. There's a cell, consultation room. So the first proposal, and anytime you want to just jump in. These concepts are from Mr. Howe here. So what's that? This was first concept. Don't go into over here, that's the PD side. So. Can you hit the full screen button? Oh. This one? Yeah. So. Thought in this idea was the sheriff's office, the emergency management, the comps room would become a lobby. Across the hall, the sheriff's administrator office, the squad room, the day room, that would become an area for the treasurers. This hall here, this wall get knocked down, be a place where they do their transacting, there'd be a counter there for the public with windows, one of them being ADA.
There was gonna be 3 windows, so one thing.
Yeah, 3 windows. The restroom would stay intact. That would become a staff restroom. Right now it's a penal restroom, so we'd have to strip those fixtures out of there and get new ones in there. From being a staff bathroom. There's gonna be an office built back here with the window for the treasurer. With a secured storage area. This is the entrance out of the old day room, which is the new treasurer's area, into that back hallway. And this becomes a secured hallway. we'd secure this door here. It doesn't show it here, but this would be handicap restrooms along in here. Those two restrooms would stay. I missed anything, Andy?
This was one of a few concepts, but the reason that's all open where you mentioned the handicap bathroom is just an idea of keeping that more spacious. Just obliterating that visitation area to make that corner less tight. It loses a lot of space, so I think the handicap bathroom option is a better one. This was just one concept that had that just being an open area. But I think the courthouse needs those bathrooms. So there's another concept that has those. in there.
Yeah. And that hallway there, that hallway is 4 feet wide, which is wide enough being ADA hallway. More than wide enough. I think the hallway has to be ADA has to be 36. So we're at 48 inches wide in that hallway.
You see a few little small squares. There's 6 of them. Those are columns that have to stay. Those, no matter what we do, those will be there.
And so there, am I getting right that there'd be a men's and women's restroom in the existing spots and there'd be an additional ADA restrooms just right around the corner?
Well,
And
there's
this-
another,
And this
Another-
concept here, yeah.
yeah,
This
it's kind of like, why get rid of them? But and there's another concept that has a good reason to get rid of them that
Okay.
Scott will get to shortly.
But that's where those, is it the 4 cells,
Three.
three,
Cells.
that's where they used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tiffany's old office.
So your plumbing is there,
Yeah.
so,
Plumbing is down below.
Gotcha.
Right in this room.
And the kitchen, is that like a updated break room? for
Yeah,
everybody?
it's essentially a full kitchen. We use it for a break room and
If we were to go that route, it seems like it makes less sense to me that there needs to be a kitchenette right across the way, I guess.
we'll let Michael argue with you about that one.
All right.
Any more questions on this one?
That kitchen is already there.
Oh, okay.
It's permanently.
All right, even better.
Yeah, this is here. That one, that exists. This is concept A, we call it. I get to that without losing everything.
that would cut down on a lot of extra foot traffic from Michael's people coming over to this kitchenette and so it's already gonna be plenty busy in there.
So this is concept B. This, you're just looking at the sheriff's department now.
It's turned now. North is up, earlier north.
Yeah. So this is Andy's office now. Proposal is to make that the public defender's office. This opening is currently there. This is where the sheriff's office, administrator's office is at. That would become the treasurer's office with a window in here somewhere. There's a small room over here that's thought at one time would be needed.
Yeah, let me I'll weigh in on that. Originally, when we discussed the move, you know, our project's been going on for years. And so when we first started talking about moving out, our intention was to keep a dispatch, an option to be able to dispatch remotely if we had to evacuate the building. Currently, we do that in the fire station. We haven't had to, but we make sure we're capable of it. So we always wanted to maintain this capability. Along the way, technology has made it possible that we can transfer our 911 calls to Yankton, you know, in moments. So we don't think it's reasonable to maintain this alternate dispatch option here for paging. It was, when we first started this project, it was the way to go, but we just don't think that that's necessary. I've spoken to dispatch, they would give that up and that could become treasurer's vault.
So then, there's your transaction counter here for the public. You know, for the treasury market. Sitting here. Lobby is, shrunk a little bit. This is where the emergency management office is right now in the conference room. So then, we keep going this direction south, right? So those two bathrooms have been eliminated, it becomes an office. Visitation room becomes an office. Basically, this is the, court services area here. Have office they need, they have reception area here. Got a waiting area, access to the restroom that they need. Go across the hallway, there's our two handicap restrooms. You know, that more than one person can have access to. This is that secured hall again, secured door. This will remain a restroom, a staff restroom. We have to go in there and rework that some. To get the shower out, to get the penal fixtures out of there.
You got room to make those ADA?
What's that?
Is there room to make those ADA?
Down in here?
Yeah, are those too tight?
I haven't been put a table.
The smaller one would be for court service would not be. Alternatively, though, if you needed one, there's gonna be one right across the hall.
That's a good point. This one and that one there.
Same thing for staff. If you had staff that were gonna use that current, right now it's our booking bathroom, which is pretty good size.
Mhm.
It's probably ADA compliant, but if you had the need, it's right down the hall to a ADA compliant bathroom.
I like that wheel.
If you want, I can kind of show a few things here.
You can right ahead. The problem I have with that one is, it looks like we're taking the treasurer's office footprint we have right now and putting it in the same footprint.
Oh, there you go. I was gonna show you on this one here. The construction project consists of taking out a wall right here, right here. And then converting this wall, there's currently a doorway. That doorway would be removed. The transaction counter would just be, waist height with a handicap accessibility just from this one wall to here. And then it takes out a wall right here and a dividing wall about here. So new walls would go up for the treasurer's side. There would be some new walls constructed in here while there is some removal.
I think if I was understanding Travis right, he's thinking like, this doesn't really gain the treasurer's office any space.
Okay, I got the square footage here.
What's the difference between the counter and windows? Why aren't we doing windows? I'm just curious. Well, there'll still be windows.
Yeah, there'd be a transaction counter with windows they can close at, after hours. They'd open them. They could, Rhonda's intent is to have three, one lower with handicap accessibility and then two other windows.
Okay.
She wants to make those.
The other drawing had windows drawn in. so-
White.
Yeah,
But they were
just had,
gonna be
well,
open
transaction
anyway.
counters, space, I don't know how we
Okay.
play those.
I understand.
And this also does involve closing off, windows that are in this public hallway. We need to plug those up, make them look nice. The new construction part would be down here. Square footage wise, the current treasurer's office is 514 square feet. Current treasurer's office. That includes literally a good chunk of it is the.
The lobby or seating.
Yeah, 514 square feet is the current treasurer's office, and that includes the little lobby they have
Yeah.
inside that's just lost to them, where they're jammed in a lot less space than that. The current deputy's office, just this space right here, 513 square feet.
Okay, so you'd be more than doubling
They would gain this much space,
and all that lobby space across the way.
lobby space for the citizens to sit. This lobby also would serve the public defender. For any of his people that might.
How often is he there?
I don't know.
The public defender,
Yeah.
well, again, with us, with us in our current situation, magistrate, we're going contract by, just we're on court appointments. And so never would be the answer for the magistrate attorneys today. Traditionally, Seth Klintz is our public defender, on felony files and other files and had been doing all of it in the past. Right now, I would say he's probably in office 6 to 10 hours a week, but it would really depend on who our public defender is. I do have heartburn about being that in close proximity to the public defender. I think if this option is explored, mostly from an optics issue, I mean, there's ethical considerations that I have to consider. I mean, of course, a public defender's client isn't gonna necessarily, they're not gonna recognize that I can't speak to them. And so it just creates a very strange situation for us when we're in close proximity to one another. But if that kitchenette's inside of my office and we're more self-contained, much less of an issue being in close proximity to the public defender. And he's far enough away theoretically across the hall that we won't have a ton of contact. Again, I mean, if we could have someone in the future who would want an office here 20 or 30 hours a week. Today, though, fairly minimal use.
This office doesn't have to be public defender. It's just a place that public defender's been something we've been discussing. Where are we gonna put the public defender?
It could just be office space.
Yeah, we could put the public defender elsewhere. The reason I did that was because by doing it this way, we don't have to build a new treasurer's office and a new vault. We already have a treasurer's office vault. What treasurer's office loses is this acreage where we were gonna tear this office. So we were tearing out an office to build and then building an office. And so by making this an office, leaving it as an office and not having a transaction window, we just didn't feel we needed the lobby to extend this far, and that gives us another room. It's a room that wouldn't be very functional for somebody that worked there a lot, because you're gonna have a lot of traffic outside your door. And I can tell you, I have a lot of traffic outside my door. That's my office now, and I just have employees going by. If I had the general public walking by, I'd never get any work done. So I just left it because it's there. Maybe we don't put the public defender there, but it's a room that we could preserve. So square footage wise, Travis had brought up, so in this concept, the treasurer's office would increase from 500 or 460 or 514 square feet to 910 square feet. And so
that whole area right there is 910?
910, and that's just for the deputies. That's not counting the treasurer's space and the vault, because there's gonna be
Or the lobby
an
too.
office, yeah, not counting the lobby. That's there, either the treasurer's office was down in this space or it's up here. The acreage out here for the deputies to do their jobs will increase from 514 to 910. Rhonda looked at how many people she's gonna be able to fit in here. We anticipate easily 6 desks could go out here, where now she has 5. She also discussed creating this transaction counter to actually be workstations, or conceptually future workstations. If the staff were to grow, if she grew that much, she would probably just station people at the window. And that's where they work, like City Hall and the finance office. That's a workstation. So she could increase to 8 people in this concept.
Just-
Get some tight again. Yeah, cause I mean, we're almost gonna double the square footage that they have now. But there's too many people in the square footage we have now.
Yep.
Cause I mean, there's no elbow room in their office.
By taking this office out, this is area where the public's gonna be talking to people. They probably wouldn't plant a desk there unless it was at the window. So yeah, if you ask Rhonda what she prefers the first option. And she's not on here.
She's right
She's
behind.
She's right behind.
Can't you feel the eye?
Yeah, can't you feel it? She can go and tell you. We presented this and discussed it. What she said, she understands there are needs other than her own, including public defender and court services, so.
So on that first option, then where's the public defender? Cause we wiped out your
Yep.
current office.
Yep.
So where would he,
Probably over in the courthouse somewhere.
Right, in the old break room, or the current break room.
okay,
Or you could instead of blowing out that corner where the visitation room is, you could, where smart office now, you can make that a office for the public defender there.
I wouldn't do that because if you're gonna move court services over here, then move them over here. And they
Right,
need
right.
3 offices.
I was referring back to the other the option A.
You're still having them down the hall from State's Attorney where the kitchen is. I think if Michael's concerns are great, I would leave the public defender in the courthouse.
And, you know, once the treasurers are moved out, you could easily split that room east to west between them 2 windows. You need to have heat and air from both offices. One idea was one was to become an office, another space was to become a small conference room. If you split that evenly east to west, you shouldn't have any issues with heat and air, lighting,
He's talking about the current treasurer.
current office.
So if we take public defender out of this conversation, the real question between the 2 concepts is whether or not we're gonna do anything for court services. And this was just what we came up with to resolve the court services issue and bring them all into one space, give them the security they've been asking for and access to a bathroom for UAs. Alternative to this would be the first concept that Scott had showed you, that basically gives the treasurer's office the lion's share of that space. And then, of course, I'd still pursue those bathrooms. And then in that, I recommended that we take all of those walls out and just split it 50-50, put a drinking fountain right here with bottle station access in. I put doors here. I think doors might be better to go this way, so you could have sinks along this wall. And then stalls, and have multiple stalls to manage. Essentially, this would be the bathrooms for the courthouse, because other than this, you only have the little one on the 2nd floor and the little one on the 3rd floor. So I'd make them as accommodating as possible to as many people as possible, but then we'd have court service people coming in. They would be able to wait here instead of sitting out in this narrow hallway, give them a place to get in. Have a secure window that Kara can talk to them through, allow them in when staff can go. Staff would have their own entrance, access to court that way, and they'd get them all 3 into one
Can you
space.
scroll that down again, Andy?
This doesn't go down.
Oh, okay. So this one is where we wiped out, or we left your office.
Yeah. You don't
There.
have to. You can make that part of the lobby. I just thought that we didn't need to make it part of the lobby in this concept because there's not transactional deals.
Well, it can just be labeled an office for
Yeah,
future.
it's just an
expansion
office.
or
For
something.
anybody, yeah.
Yep, anybody,
Storage.
storage, yeah. Is there any talk of,
So we're talking about leaving that office there, if we did. Because I'm losing my square footage in the office area, that could become my license plates, envelopes, the stuff, my bulky stuff. That could be a storage
Sure.
facility for the treasurer's office.
That'd make your space more
That would make
across
my
the way.
space more useful because, walk over here. Initially, I was picturing my storage here for license plates and all that kind of stuff, or in that first one, in that vaulted area. This area is not gonna be big enough for me to store my shipments of license plates and things like that. But it will be big enough for me to store the documents that are required to be in the same place. But in this picture, my mind, I'm filling this wall with cabinet and counter, and then above the counter cabinets for storage or paperwork and, you know, everything else that we need that we use daily. So if we did keep that Andy's old office intact, I could use it as storage. I could use that for the license plates and like I said, it would be actually, now that I'm looking at it deeper, handy. You know, since if I'm not keeping them in the office, which if we do go to this reverted plan, my square footage, you know, gets cut back a little bit, that would free up storage that I would have used in the other plan. So,
That way we get that public defender, like Michael was saying, get that person out of there.
Yep, yep.
Back over here.
And that way, everything in that whole area is all treasurer. So
Yeah,
That
seems really.
plus, looking from a financial area, aspect, we're not disturbing that. It's one less thing to deal with tearing
This
apart.
remodel is, it's pretty minimal.
Yeah, no, I,
Other than tearing
less
these
cost.
bathrooms out is where it's gonna get a little more costly. You're gonna take
Yep,
the bathrooms out and take some walls out and then building new. Now, they could probably build those with, steel studs and drywall.
Right. Yeah. So across the hall to the right, okay, over here, is your old cells, right?
Yep.
What's gonna happen with those?
Storage is, my mind's
So
understanding.
would your, instead of taking up an office, could the license plates go in the old cells? They'd be secure.
Yeah, they would be accessible to this door right here. So from the treasurer's office, you'd be able to come out here and then here to store those.
They'll bring them in through the Sally Port.
Well, that'd be nice.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. We have a fork for, we have a forklift now, so.
Awesome.
Is that the same with the old, to the south there, where we used to keep the females?
That we want to keep for court and
Oh, for court.
actually use it for inmates. yeah.
Holding cell?
Yep.
Then you wouldn't have to fight the public either, bringing your boxes over.
That's true too, yeah, I forgot about those back there.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, actually.
Well, I didn't really have anything planned for in there. I've just figured storage also. Some of the other ideas we talked about were gonna be pretty spendy if we did it. You know, we might have to, I don't think there should be anything we have to do in there. You know, if there's anything minimal, cutting torch stuff, but like you said, leave the bunks for shelves and.
You know, and really, if we're gonna move court services, I mean, we'd have multiple, the old court services offices. Could be multiple defender. True. Lawyer offices.
We're gonna have, treasurer's office is gonna empty out too, right? So what are what are the plans for the things over on the courthouse side?
Well, Linnea's going upstairs.
Linnea gonna go up to the treasurer's space,
You wanna go to the state's attorney's office.
state's attorney's space.
Oh, okay.
Treasurer's office was discussed as possible court, public defender, possible, conference room. The courthouse lacks meeting space.
Yep.
So that would be a good space for that.
Rhonda's office would become an office for Carrie.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but by moving court services here, we're kind of, we have that space on first floor. Actually, that space in that small room right off the north entrance.
And except for like Tuesdays, this space opens up then to the public for conference area. Cause it won't be locked anymore.
See a hand in the back.
It's got another challenge.
I'm thinking about Carrie moving into the space that I'm in currently, which is also the mail room and the paper supply room and the file room. And when need be, our private conference room, you know, it's like a jack of all trades. What we need in the courthouse is a secure room for the mail, keep our paper supply, so that, I mean, you know, it's like, everybody thinks, oh, look, treasurer has this great office all to herself, but I don't. I have a space where I sit that I share with the public.
But all the paper can come in now through the Sally Port and get stored in those cells too.
Yeah, that can't, but our mail, we need our mail room. And it shouldn't be in my office, Carrie's office. You know, because it's like, it just shouldn't. It's distracting to the person working in there, and it's also distracting to the person coming in
What,
to bring it.
My
So I'm
thought-
just thinking, you know, like, we're gonna have the treasurer's office available. We could make that more of a, you know, our mail room.
But that's gonna be Carrie's office, cause she needs a place.
She's gonna be in the old commission room.
Oh, you're talking,
she's
okay, I was thinking your office,
No.
okay, the old.
Yeah, she'd be in the
Some of that could be
commission room.
carved out as a mailroom. Mailroom's what she's talking about. It's just a small room that's maybe got one of the combination type locks like that. The guy knows the code. We all know the code or have card key access. We can drop our mail. He can pick it up. It doesn't have to come in somebody's office.
How about we use that small office by the north end? Yeah, the north door there as a mail room.
Yeah, like the old court services.
That'd
Yeah,
large
that would be
enough.
ideal.
That would be
Yep, large
ideal,
enough.
That would be
Come
ideal.
Right in the back door. and
Vic's
drop her
office,
off.
yeah,
Yeah.
that would be ideal.
But yeah, that's something to think about when we're doing all this shuffling around, because, you know, it's not fair to Carrie. I know she really has, and, you know, myself too. Work we do, we need to concentrate on, and when people are coming and going all the time, can't concentrate, and then, you know, I'm the official mail person. Everybody thinks I know everything about the mail, and I'm learning, but I don't know it all, you know, because I get asked the question. But, you know, that's something, yeah, that back room actually would be a good spot for it.
That would be
Everybody knows
perfect.
That's where you drop off the mail, mailman knows that's where you pick it
Yeah.
up, and then we're not interrupting anybody's, you know, workflow.
Yep, so right now, the mail guy comes up to your office, cause that's where all the outgoing mail.
That's correct.
This is all, we're only talking about outgoing now.
Yeah, the incoming mail, unless they have packages for us to sign for, it all goes in our little mailbox.
Right, so mailboxes remain where they are on the
Yes,
first floor.
yeah.
So that little office would be outgoing mail. They have a little.
So where did you get your mail at? Did they bring it over to your?
They
office?
bring it to us. We've got a drop box in our lobby. And, cause we have a different address. We have 15 Washington as our address.
So your
Up-
address is gonna change then?
I wouldn't. I would keep her as
I would
211
just
West
keep it.
Main, same suite.
I mean, for what it's worth, if we have to walk over here and get our mail, that's fine.
I talked to the
You know.
post office, and so we can change the address just like that, or leave it, we can get rid of it.
I don't wanna change the treasurer's.
You're still connected and you won't be, you'll have a public access to the lobby of the courthouse all the same. So I would keep the same address.
I wouldn't wanna change that, just for continuity.
Yeah.
Everything.
I don't know why they did that when this building was built. The sheriff's office was in the courthouse and somebody said they had to change it. They changed it, but they shouldn't have. They should just be considered an annex to the courthouse. It shouldn't have its own street address, but it has for 30 years.
So thinking about connectivity between the two buildings, because we're gonna now have more things that people think of as like courthouse services in the back building, so, but if we're keeping those two cells, then are we also keeping a secure area behind that steel door, or is that gonna turn into a?
There is a,
Oh.
it already is secure.
And that'll be retained, so that will not become
Yeah.
so if someone wanted to go from some part of this building, a member of the public to that building, they need to go outside across the park.
No,
No, you know where the
This-
bathroom's at on first floor, the men's?
Yeah.
Go right through that door will be open.
That'll be just be
Into the
open.
into
It
the
just
jail.
become a archway.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering
Yeah.
about, but isn't that area right now, isn't that a secure steel door?
Well, it is now,
It is now.
but we
But
would
that's
change
gonna
that.
get opened up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
that's
then,
what I-
and then those
yeah.
folks, as they pass through, that's, find my bearings.
That's that right
Go
there,
this
right?
way here.
Yep.
This now is secure. Right about here is where they would enter the actual courthouse.
Okay, gotcha.
And at that point, they would enter into what is now the jailer's, work area.
Yeah.
It would be a wide spot in the hallway, then they'll go through a doorway. That area, the cell area is right here. There'll be a wall that separates us with a secure door.
Okay, and then that'll have the cells, but also like a little
Yep.
entry area
Yep.
or something that you.
Yeah, and there's actually a small room in there that we would make it a consult room for attorneys to visit with their clients before court or. It would be a minimal project. The public walking by will see a door, they can't access it. When we move inmates, we'll just make sure we've got staffing to make sure that, as we do now when we
Yep.
walk through the courthouse, we escort them.
Great. I like this a lot. Great ideas, everybody.
The notion here was, yeah, it's at the expense of the treasurer's office to an extent, but it also satisfies the need for court services. And I think it meets all of the needs they've requested.
Excellent. Cost effective, not a lot of changes. I like that.
There's some doorways that'll get filled in, you know, there's the bathrooms out, you have to fill in those bathroom doors. There'd be 3 doors along this hallway that need to be plugged up and a door here that would need to be plugged and obviously take out a section of wall here. These walls are not load bearing, that's why the columns are there.
We're not at a decision point, this is just information.
I think Scott just wanted to make sure he was on the right track.
Yeah.
Okay.
The RFQ deadline, request for qualifications is the 30th. And the committee gathers together, does the eval, we'll pick the top 3, 4, whatever. And then present that to the commissioners on the 10th of June.
10th of June.
Okay, so. Need to be rolling on this so I can get an RFP drawn up, so it's just bam, right out, lickety split, so. Keep the ball rolling. I've already written up an RFP based off the other concept. So, I mean, I have the RFP there, it's just, I gotta get in and tweak it. To this, if we wanna roll with this. Or a combination of the two, whatever it might be, but. And there's nothing in the RFP about anything within the courthouse. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's kind of domino effect. We do this, the state's attorney comes over, Linnea goes up. I don't really have anything beyond this. You know, what are we gonna do? With the
Yeah, I was
treasurer?
hearing that in some of the discussion today, like.
Right, you know, what are we gonna do with the treasurer's office? What are you gonna do with the old court services office?
A lot of that's future project.
Right.
I'd like to see an RFP on this one too. Did you have one on the first one?
Yeah, I've written one up.
Oh, yeah, for the second
Yeah,
proposal.
the second. one.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that, the restroom off the treasurer's office, the long narrow one, is that a public?
No,
No,
That's a secure
that's a
hall.
secure hall.
this doorway here exists now. It's
Okay.
generally propped open because it's just within the jail. We close that when we've got a booking taking place that we want to just close, separate. It's rare, but that would be always closed. It would be the treasurer would be able to go to the courthouse to say to the auditor's office by going through this hallway and out and upstairs. Same with court services, they would access without having to go through their lobby. The treasurer wouldn't have to go out through their lobby. It would just be a staff access, also gives them staff access to a secure restroom. And then, so this bathroom is, it's currently off of the booking area, which would just be a hallway.
There is a counter, kitchen counter and uppers right across the hall from the bathroom there. You could leave them, you could take them out, use them for storage. I guess if we're gonna leave them some cover storage, I might unhook the plumbing in there because, you know, probably chances that anybody use that.
There's a hand washing sink there.
Yeah, it'd be pretty slim. So I like to get, if we're not gonna use it, I like to get rid of it. So we
Couple of
don't
things.
don't run into problems down the road.
This is just a very wide jut out wall that isn't going anywhere. I think there might be a roof drain in there or something.
And that's so.
This area here is where roof drains come down through. That's got to stay. That's why that's it. Scott had mentioned a window there. There's no reason for that because all she's gonna do is be looking at this.
Okay.
But she would probably, most of her days, leave that door open unless she needs it closed. But there is a window right here.
Okay.
So Rhonda would be able to look out into this space and then be able to see out into this space. Obviously, she'd leave this door shut unless she needs to contact the public through it. Public wouldn't have access to this area, but if they did, so.
And there's not much for exterior windows anywhere in there, right? Like,
There's no exterior windows. That area, this part of this safety center from this wall south has no windows because it's intended as a fallout shelter.
Gotcha.
I do have an RFP as an option. You know, you could put windows in your west wall of your lobby.
I mean, that would be really lovely to have one in there, but.
It would be, but you'd
But
lose your
it's
storm
You can
shelter
lose your
rating.
storm cell rating.
Right now, there is storm shelter, they wouldn't have to evacuate it. There's a trade-off for that.
Yeah. That makes sense. I would say that, personally, I would think that, with all the changes that this is going to, facilitate in the rest of the courthouse, just as a committee, at least sketch out what your current understanding is of where people, who's moving to where, and then just to making sure that you're thinking as far ahead as possible about whether any of that is gonna need expense, build out, anything like that, but also just making sure that each department head that's involved in those discussions and where you're thinking about, well, maybe they're gonna move up here, just making sure that all that's out in the open and people are getting a voice concerns or things. I mean, I've heard a lot of ideas thrown out just in this meeting, so just making sure that that next stage, even if we aren't planning it concretely, we're at least kind of sketching it out and making sure that we know what people's expectations are about where they're gonna be going.
Yeah, I've been taking the blueprints. I have a program on my computer where I can go in and mark them up and say, do this, do that, so. Yeah, it's pretty easy to do that. Definitely keep everybody in the loop that it involves. Just one thing I wanna reiterate, just so it's always in everybody's mind is right now in the current safety center, there's a real lack of power outlets. It was just designed that way. It was just a poor design. So, you know, you're gonna have some electrical upgrading going on. You take those walls out for the lobby. Now the thermostats are all in those walls. It's an old pneumatic system. You put it back in, do you upgrade that to digital and get into this modern era? Or
Cabling in general, I mean, we just invested a bit of
Yeah,
cabling over
right.
here. We should make sure that we're upgrading over there. at the
so-
same time.
we all know how the snowball rolls.
Yep.
Like with the MEP project, okay, we're gonna upgrade the power, the outlet, so did we do the lights, did we leave the lights? You know. Bring all the ceiling down, put new ceiling up. Is this the time to, get all the old cast iron gutted out of here as much as possible? You know, because if not, like, you're gonna be doing down the road sometime. There's a lot of things like that to look at. Our sprinkler room. Right there. Run the sprinkler lines, be done with it, you know what I'm saying? I don't.
That'll be part of that RFP.
Excuse me?
That'll be part of that RFP whenever
Yeah.
that time comes.
Yeah, I had a whole list of things on the RFP considerations, I called them
Yeah.
or whatever. But, you know, it's quite a list of it. I could send that off to you guys to read too. I can redraft it to this proposal here and send it out because I would, you know, appreciate the input on it. If I missed something, oh, what about this? What about that? Maybe we should reword it, you know.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
I can send it out to our committee members too.
So to run all the cables for the treasurer's office and all the electrical, how are we gonna do that without doing all these drops from the ceiling or everything on the floor?
Yeah, put it in the floor.
We're gonna have to put a raised floor in to do it?
They probably just break up the concrete that's there and lay it in. That-
Or you can
That's
just
my
bore
thought.
through and just
That's
go up.
true too, yeah,
It's all downstairs
From
here
the
now.
basement,
yeah.
from the garage anyway.
Just go up. No, that's not over the garage. That's over the air handler rooms.
Oh, yeah.
Downstairs here, you know, we are right here, right now,
Okay.
downstairs. So this area here is the air handlers. This little box here is ductwork. It runs from the air handler room, current air handler room, up to above the ceiling upstairs. This is dispatch now. It has a lot of perforations down into the rooms down there where all the phone lines come in. The state, fiber lines come into a room downstairs that's right about here. And so they could punch that up from below pretty easily, exactly where on the ones. Great.
Yeah, there's not a bunch of stuff in way down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, there might be plumbing in.
Plumbing, ductwork.
Yeah,
Yeah, I never thought about that.
there's a raised floor right here now, and there's just wires all over under there. When that comes out, they're gonna be patching a lot of holes. But you can put power and data where you want it from below, I think.
There might be a lot of exposed raceway in offices. Since it's cinder block with solid.
There is
concrete
now.
Walls. So,
Yeah, when they did it, like, for example, in what's now my offices, one outlet here, one outlet here, one outlet here. That's it. When this building was built, there were 0 computers on any desks. Within a few years, we started putting computers in. Didn't take long. Essentially, it was built a few years too early. There's a electrical panel, this little jut out. We'll have to stay, there's an electrical panel here. When the building was completed, it was, you know, probably about 2/3 full, like most electrical panels are. It's completely full now.
Yeah, we'll probably find out we should have put robot charging stations all over this thing in like 5 years, but oh well. For all your hard work, it's great, really good, really good. project.
And solve as many of the problems we've identified as we can.
Anything else?
Yeah,
Thank
keep
you.
up the work.
Everybody get to see the vouchers and payroll?
Yep.
Entertain a motion.
Move to pay the rule, pay the vouchers.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Resolution for cancellation of outstanding checks.
Move that we pass resolution 2025-14 and cancel these checks.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Real quickly, is 1 year, like, almost seemingly too long, or
No, it's set in statute,
set statute? Okay.
yeah, but it has to be a full year. So we're canceling checks actually currently 23.
Oh, wow, okay. All right.
Yep.
If that's set in statute, then
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, the oldest one here is January 23rd, 2023.
Could start the 24th, but I do it twice a year. I'll do a few and if I get any response, great. If not, they hang out on my list and then I do it again at the end of the year, see what happens and. Anyway. But yeah, I can't cancel until it's been a full year.
I was just wondering, because I know a lot of times when I get checks, it'll say 180 days, and yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only reason I asked, so if that's statute, that's statute, okay?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Mochler,
Aye.
Graylobe,
Aye.
Brady,
Aye.
Teasy,
Aye.
Gilbertson.
Aye.
Motion passes. Let's see, agreement to terminate agreement 718-713 with the South Dakota Department of Transportation.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it again here and I'm seeing a line for the chairperson signature and the letter language says, once the Clay County Commission has given the county commission chairperson permission for the agreement to be signed by the highway superintendent. But I think that that is not actually what they're requesting. Is that? They're actually
No.
just requesting authorization. for the
Yeah.
chair to sign.
Move to approve that Travis can sign the.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion passes.
You already covered the commitment letter, right?
Joint Powers Board resignation and appointment. So we had Chris Larson send his resignation in.
This is a Joint Powers, Solid Waste Advisory.
Yep.
Board. Yeah.
So I'll entertain a motion to accept his resignation.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion passes. And then we'll have to advertise for the position, right, Carrie?
Yeah, I think so.
Commissioner Facebook page discussion.
Try to be brief with this. I talked with Carrie just a little bit on this. And just another way to kind of meet people where they're at. I noticed lately, again, sorry that I'm kind of new to this and still feeling my way around. But I've noticed recently that some people say, well, will you let us know when this happens? And, even though we have a public facing website. Not everybody goes there, obviously. So I thought maybe since a lot of people seem to be on Facebook, especially those who'd be interested in this would give them the ability. I asked Carrie if she'd be okay with like posting it, and we discussed, shutting off the comments, but there's no way to shut off comments on the whole site, but we could shut off her post. So if she posts the meeting minutes, she can go in and say that no comments are allowed. So basically it'd be an informational page and just one more way. And that way, for those of you who use Facebook, you can actually set it up where you get a reminder when something posts to that page. So it'd say like new post from Clay County Commissioners, so they can go read it. And it'd be one way that we could be a little more forward and proactive as far as people being able to see what we're doing and keeping up on things instead of saying, well, you're trying to hide stuff. No, we're not trying to hide stuff. It's out there publicly, but I also understand that people aren't looking for it 24/7, like we kind of live in, so.
Are you thinking-
In a nutshell, that's what I'm thinking.
Would just like the stuff we put on the courthouse door or
Yeah.
post on the website, this would just be another place those things would be posted?
Yeah, just one more place to meet the public. I know it's one more thing, but probably take all of a minute, so.
I was just talking to somebody at my barber who, the first he'd heard about any of the, the fly print stuff was reading it, well, not reading it in the paper, hearing discussion in the barber's office. He's like, well, where did you hear about that? He said, well, I get all my news from Facebook, so maybe you'd hear about it.
Yeah.
Is that something you wanna take on, Carrie, or is that just?
I don't mind. I think most of the departments are already using Facebook anyway, and finding that that's where most people see things.
I totally agree,
So-
it's a good idea, I just don't wanna put something on you, that's just another task.
No, I think it's fine.
We discussed before, like, I don't want to put more on you, but.
Yeah.
Well, I move to, add a Clay County Facebook page as a spot where we will post the same notices that we post on our website.
Okay.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion passes. Emergency management information from the state of South Dakota for review.
We don't have to have a motion or anything on that. They just send that report now quarterly, and they just want that on the agenda so that you see it.
And it's a list of all the things that need to be completed by September, right? So the fact
I
that some
believe
things aren't
so,
completed is to be expected, correct?
yeah.
Anything you wanna add, Lane?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Department monthly reports for review. Everybody get to see those? Clay County Park discussion. Anything?
Nothing new?
I don't think I have anything new for the building projects, and then we pretty much went through a lot of building project updates for the courthouse here. Joint jurisdiction, anything, Dave?
If you wanna take time. We wanna do,
Oh,
talk about setting up a meeting.
so we're gonna meet with the mayor. The mayor was gonna he was gonna find some people off the commission and off his planning and zoning. And then we were gonna meet with, two of us were gonna meet off the commission and two off planning and zoning.
Just to set up ground rules.
Yep.
That sounds great.
And I thought it'd be Dave and I and Cindy Aiden and, what would you say, Tom expressed it? Well, they all expressed interest.
Tom would be a good one. Yeah. Cindy and Tom.
We just gotta set up a time to meet with city.
Have you heard anything, Noah?
I mean, Jose and I are doing monthly meetups now,
On,
just to make sure we're on the same page.
on the same page with upcoming stuff, not about the joint jurisdiction.
Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah.
Right, cause we gotta have our meeting first.
Yeah, and it's just kind of discussing like, if someone came to his office and then vice versa. We just like, oh, here's some notes, like. I already communicate with y'all, so just playing nice with our neighbors down the street.
So perfect. If the rest of the commission is good with that setup, I think, a lot John know that we're good on our end. If he's good on his end, we can get the ball rolling.
That's, I like it. Fine by me, yep. Thanks for taking the initiative. Yeah, thanks for taking the initiative, Noah, to set that monthly meeting up.
Any other commissioner reports?
Real quickly, I just finally got a text from Hillary Kropa from, 4-H. And they did finally hire a 4-H educator. I can finally announce it. The first day will be June 2nd in Union County, and then she will train with Dr. Tanner on June 3rd in Clay County. And it's Lori Fritsch. That's who will be taking over as of that time. So, it's been bane of my existence since we're on the commission, so I'm happy that we got it. It's over.
Planning and zoning, I'm assuming we didn't have time for advertising for the
It's just the plan of-
Beersford thing, plat.
It's on the 10th, isn't it?
Is it scheduled for the 10th?
Yeah, so it should be scheduled for the 10th. I sent out notices, and then did we get it? Paper good? Okay. Yeah, so the
Yeah,
Beers,
we're good for the 10th.
yep, so the Beersford meeting should be for the rezone from agriculture to rural residential. Should be good to go.
14 lots, residential to commercial.
17 rural residential, and it's gonna be 2 commercial up along the highway on the, yes, sir.
And so that's been approved by planning and zoning. That's the,
It's
that's
been,
for
it's
us to
been
hear on the
It's
test.
been kicked up to us.
Gotcha.
yes, sir, yeah.
For the first reading.
Yep. So, and then I have a binder, and I can send it to you guys if you guys want. If you guys wanna swing by, I can show it to you on my, monitors.
Yeah, if you don't mind, sending a copy over, I'd appreciate it, just in case, it comes up and anybody's has questions, I need to, and I appreciate you walking me through it in your office the other day already, so, yeah. But,
Somebody left theirs here from the meeting.
oh. All right. There we go. Delivered. That was fast. This guy's good, yeah.
I just want,
Thank you.
I just want to make sure we don't forget Lisa too. She was added on the agenda too.
She was?
Yep, you must be working off one of the first revisions I sent out.
What was the Friday one?
I sent out a couple of them on Friday, so
Oh.
in any
I didn't
case,
see it either.
here I am.
To adjourn.
Well, I'm not gonna be as expensive as Rhonda, so I told her that when I was sitting there with her, I'm like, you're kind of an expensive, girl. Okay, so I'd like some money, please. So, I had not intended on purchasing anything new for my office this year because I didn't really think I needed anything. And then all those copy machine salesmen came by and pointed out that my machine is not even being made anymore, my copy printer scanner. And they were like, oh yeah, if that breaks, you are SOL. And anyway, so I started talking to Carrie and I thought maybe now would be a good time to supplement my budget to get a new machine now, be proactive now rather than wait until later when I am having to pay more for, next year possibly if machines go up, which I expect that they will. So anyway, Carrie and I also talked about her getting a new one. And we talked to Connor from Loeffler. And if we both get one, the price goes down. So,
And I do have money in my budget.
but I don't. But I don't, and that's the problem. But, and I don't know where I'm at even on my budget, but I do know that I've brought in, so the quote that I was given for a new machine, which is basically the same functionality as my current, because I need, the 3 different papers for all my different documents that I have to be able to provide to the public. And then I need a scanner. So nothing fancy. I don't need color or anything like that. But the quote that I was given was $4,013.78. And I've already brought in this year $3,218 of my Black Knight money, which goes to the general fund. And that's just from January to April. So I figure in the next couple months, I would actually have it all paid for with my Black Knight money, if we could just kick that general, because it goes to the general, the Black
Mhm.
Knight money does. So if we could just kick that over to my budget as a supplemental, that would be great.
You said 4,000 what?
$4,013.78 for me to purchase it. Cause
Oh,
I,
is that-
Leasing right now, right?
no, I actually own it. Yeah, I didn't know that. Cause it was purchased before I got here. So I thought I was leasing and, I found out that no, that's mine. So then I also asked, well, what can we do with that? And they're gonna give me, a rebate on the trade-in, which
How
is
much?
750, which
Sure.
not great, but it's also a machine that
Yeah.
is obsolete now.
And how much does it decrease the cost of yours if we purchase this two instead of one?
So they're giving us a few $100, kind of a price break
Right.
on basically the delivery and installations. They only have to make one
One
trip.
trip.
And then they locked in the maintenance contract for 3 years, which is nice because
Mhm.
that's not usually the case.
Mhm.
Usually goes up, several percent each year.
Are they,
Tell
are they gonna,
5 years. Seriously. Nobody's selling anything right now. 5 years locked in,
Might as well try.
because A and B they would love our business.
Yeah, but we really like Loeffler. And that's it. Yeah, so, I mean, we could tell him, I'm fine with telling him that and see what he says.
I was gonna say it's no.
Right,
Just tell the commissioner said.
right,
5 years,
5.
good.
Okay,
are
okay.
they- are they gonna take your old machines?
Mine, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, cause you lease yours, don't you?
No, I own mine too.
Oh, okay.
And I have put off purchasing a new one for a couple years because of, budget reasons and
Mhm.
stuff, just trying to hold things down. But it's gotten to that point too, where they're like, oh, parts are gonna start getting hard to get and
Well, and for me being what I like to call the courthouse library, I have to be able to print things for, everybody. Obviously, it's my job. So to be without a copy machine, because if they were looking for parts or something, or if I was waiting for something to come in, it would be very bad for me. So I would like to kind of be proactive and just kind of be on top of it. And then, I mean, ideally, this machine would just go with me to the end, but I don't, the current one that I didn't even know I owned. So, but yeah, I was actually really surprised that they would give me at least $750 for it. So better than nothing.
So we need a motion for a budget supplement if
Yeah.
we're gonna allow you to do this?
Yes, please. Cause I didn't budget anything for
Oh.
this last year. I did not budget anything for like minor equipment and furniture. Cause I didn't think I mean, I really haven't needed anything in a while. The last big purchase was my like rolly cabinet that I keep all my paper in. And I mean,
so
Is-
what I would recommend would be just a motion to authorize her to purchase it, and then we'll do a contingency transfer at some point, but I'll have to have a resolution for that.
Okay.
So you just get lumped in with some later stuff.
I move to approve the purchase of the new copier.
Second. A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both same
Thanks.
sign. Motion passes.
and I'll keep
Sure.
that Black Knight money coming in.
Yeah, I know when somebody needs an important document printed.
That was my thing. I was thinking about, I'm like, if this were to break down, it'd be really. We've gone to a lot of emailing, which is nice. We email a lot of documents. And, rather than have people print it. But there's those surveyors and the general public who doesn't like email, so it's kind of a vital piece of my office, so. All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
10:24, motion to adjourn.
Hold on. we're
No,
done.
not yet.
We have, so Carrie's not gonna be here next Tuesday. There's
Right.
nothing on the agenda yet. We may cancel next Tuesday's meeting.
I won't be here either. I'll be on the way to Seattle.
I'm getting married Saturday. I wouldn't mind missing next week's meeting. That sounds just fine.
Okay, then
Okay,
our next meeting will be June 10th.
Yep,
all
I'll be
right.
zoomed in on that one too.
That one I'll be coming in hot. It's a read too, so.
And then we do have executive session is it legal, Michael? Or contractual?
Yeah, I have legal, be 125, 2 subsection 3.
And I'm gonna have to leave in 4 minutes, so.
I move that we go into executive session for the statute that Michael just cited.
Second.
Oh, pop up, thank you.
Second. Okay, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion passes.
And then if, I think Noah's in the room, if he would stay.
All right, Dave.
Move to adjourn? Oh,
Gotta-
move to come out of executive.
Yes.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Come out of executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
We are adjourned. Thank you for your participation.